You are tuned into the TRIBETEA podcast with Naja the Voodoo Child.
Hello, everybody. It is Naja, aka the Voodoo Child here, and this is episode 1 of the TRIBETEA podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So before we get started, I do want to give a trigger warning out there. The TRIBETEA podcasts are a little bit more mature than the lives that we do on YouTube and the pre-recorded. So just a trigger warning, we are going to be talking about domestic abuse. We're also going to be talking about some sexual topics, as you can see by the title. So today we have Pixie, and Pixie has been a tribe member for some time now, and she is going to be telling you her story about her ex, who is also a dom.
I have a penchant for finding myself into very, very complex situations.
To say the least. So for starters, I know your name's Pixie. How old are you?
I'm 27.
Okay, you're 27, so you're still young. Me and you are like around the same age. That's cool. So I do have some questions for you because, again, this is a lot. I got some questions.
Okay.
So for one, how did you meet this person? Like, how did this start?
All right, so I had just moved out of my adoptive mom / aunt's house.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to university, so I moved out of her house and I moved to another city. And I was like, oh, well, I'm here. It's December now. I started university, and I'm like, well, I've always been interested in BDSM, so I'm like,
wait a damn
minute.
I
was gonna ask because, like, I know some people like throw the word dom around, like, oh, well, he was like dominant and stuff. But I was gonna ask, like, is that like a BD? So you are into BDSM?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, and I was like, okay, might as well go on FetLife. It's kind of like the Facebook of BDSM, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, might as well. I've heard about FetLife before, but I was too scared to actually go on there. So I go on there, I make a profile, and then I'm like, okay, fine. I'm a shy person, but I'm going to try anyway. I went to the group for the city I was living in, and then I contacted them and stuff. And then, long story short, I ended up at a kink party.
Oh my! I was gonna say, like, do you have to do like an interview to like get the invite, or are you just like?
Actually, what they do anyway, the people that were kind of like the community here,
Mm-hmm.
the people that were like not running it, but they had a dungeon. The key holders of the dungeon, I talked to them, and then we had to meet first. So we went out to like a cafe and we're talking and stuff, and I've been talking to them, and then I finally accepted to go into a munch. Basically, it's like a munch is like a dinner
Mm-hmm.
at a restaurant. It's very casual, but then you get to meet the other people of the community, you talk, and it's like a break the ice type of thing.
Yeah, like a little icebreaker meeting.
If you decide you still want to go, then you go to the kink party.
Okay.
So that's how I got initiated, I guess. And then I think it was like the second or third party. It was like beginning of January by that time. And then he was there. So that's how I met him. He had a sub at the time. So, and plus, he was 20 years older.
Oh, okay. So he was older. Was the sub he had at the time younger too?
She's younger than him, but she was still like around his age.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I met him when I was 22 at the time. Anyway, yeah. That's how I met him. He seemed nice. We talked. It wasn't anything serious because it was like, one, you're old.
Yeah.
You're not attractive.
Ooh.
And
said you are not attractive.
Well, I didn't say that to his face, but I was like, yeah, you're not attractive. You're old. You're overweight, and you have a sub. Like, I wasn't back then. I was strictly into monogamy.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, if he had more than one sub or if it was just, like, just the girl.
No, he had just one sub, but, yeah, I wasn't about to be, like, in your little...
Yeah, your little harem
yes.
Like,
So I was like, nope, thank you.
Right.
But, yeah, he was nice, but he's the one who introduced me to, ropes.
Oh, okay. 50 Shades.
Yeah, because we were at the party, and I was like, oh, I've never tried ropes, because he has a lot of ropes, okay? He's like, the ropes and chains, that was his thing. So I was like, okay, we can try. So he tied me up just so I can see, like, how it felt, and if I liked it, and it was a very weird position. I felt exposed, but at the same time, I was like, oh my God, okay.
You're nasty.
This thing, but whatever, you know?
Right.
It's cool. So that's how we met, okay? And after that, he invited me to his birthday party. He was having a private, basically, like, kink night or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was his birthday party. And and basically, there was this lady on top of this table.
Oh, my God.
She was basically the plate. And then she had sushi all over her body, and she was completely naked.
Bon appetit.
And, yeah.
Oh, my God. It's like...
Yeah.
So
And
my
the
question
thing
to
is,
you,
like-
my question to you, because so far it sounds like this has just been like a very like whimsical, like very like on your toes, fun. So like, when did the red flags start?
What the thing is, like I said, I wasn't interested, and I was like, no thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So this was in like beginning of 2016, okay, like January 2016. So like after that, I didn't really see him because he lived in another city, so he didn't really come to here often where I live. But we became friends on set, but like I never really talked to him like that.
Right.
And so at one point, I think I posted a picture of me in like a cute, lacy, like pink bra, you know, and I was like, oh my God. So I posted that, and he was like, oh wow, that's so pretty. And I was like, thank you, I like it too. And then he was like, I was not talking about the bra, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's cool.
Right.
And
Thanks.
then,
Bye.
like by the end of the year, like a few months later, he asked me out to coffee. I think he was no longer with his sub. He asked me out to coffee, and I was like, I don't think so. And I was like, I don't know you like that. You old TV man. And then I don't know why, but the next year in February, I think we had like a big snowstorm. We had like 2 days where we got like 40 centimeters of snow.
Oh, geez.
And that's when I don't know why, but we started talking on set, obviously. Yeah, so we started talking, and for months we were talking, and then 3 months later in May, I decided, okay, well, because he had invited me over to where he lives, and it was like an hour and 10 minutes away, so I drove there for the weekend, and I was like, Sandina, what are you doing?
Right.
Like,
This man's already showing you he like you, he wants you, he about to pull up.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what's gonna go. I went there. I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm not attracted to him. I mean, but our conversations were great. So I was like, okay, cool. But like, I got there, and then I was like, oh, hell no, I'm not attracted to him. But then I don't know, he's older, so he has more experience, and he knew what to do and stuff, and I was like, well, he might not be my boyfriend, but I don't mind him being a dom.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, do you think that maybe you might not be like attracted to him, but more so like the vibe and energy he gives off, and like that he demands in the room type thing, like?
Exactly. So I was like, okay, well, he doesn't have to be a boyfriend, he can be a dom. I wasn't sure if I could separate the two, okay, because it was my first experience ever with a dom, period.
Oh, so okay. I thought like maybe you were like mingling and stuff, and you know, like with other doms, but no. So you were just in the community and participating, but you were like just
Yeah.
solo. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I was unattached, and I was just looking at parties and seeing what was going on. So, he was my first dom. Yeah, and we were cool and stuff, but the red flags didn't, like...
When did you see the first red flag of the racism?
Oh, that wasn't, like, until much later when I was actually living with him. Because I ended up living with him.
Wow. How did that come to be? Like, how did you end up living with him?
Well, okay, the thing is, I was in school still. This was, like, when I started, like, actually seeing him. It was, like, May 2017, okay? So, I started seeing him, like, every 2 weekends. I would go and stay with him and stuff. But during that time, I was having a really hard time with school and work because I was basically, like, starting to have, like, a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what it was. I was just feeling all kinds of, like, I can't get up to go to work. I don't have any motivation for anything. Like, I was, like, slowly sinking into depression. And I didn't know that at the time. So at some point, I just quit my job by the end of the summer, and I'm like, what the hell did you just do? Like, I just didn't show up anymore.
Oh my gosh.
Then money problems started accumulating because I was missing work all the time, and then I quit my job, and then I had to quit school that fall because I really couldn't do it. Like, my mental health was...
No, yeah, and that comes first. That comes first, like... And people don't know, like, that depression is really a lot.
Yeah,
like, I'm sorry you had to go through that. It's no joke. And people don't get it. Like, you dead can't even pretend to clock into work. Like, it's a lot.
Exactly. And the thing is just being lazy. And I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, I would wake up way before my alarm clock would go off. And I would stare at the ceiling. My alarm clock will go off. I turn it off and stare at the ceiling. 3 hours later, I'm still staring at the ceiling.
Yeah,
like, I'm
bad.
not even going up to go to the damn bathroom. That's how bad it is. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I literally couldn't get up. Like, it was insane.
So,
but,
so did he, like, comfort you during that time?
Yeah, I was still seeing him. It was the only thing that was, like, kind of a good thing in my life, I guess.
Yeah.
When I moved to the city I'm in right now, I, like, the semester before I started university, I was assaulted. And that was, like, basically, that was the last drop.
Yeah, I'm sorry that
like,
happened to you. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was the last straw, basically. Like, that's
God.
That was the catalyst for my whole depression, because it wasn't just one, it was just the last of many assaults.
Yeah.
So that's why I was, like, completely done. So when I dropped out of school, I got a medical note or whatever. Dropped out of school, and then I was still seeing him every 2 weeks. And then at some point, he was like, oh, well, you know, you can just stay here longer. So, like, in December, I stayed, like, for a whole month at his house. That's when I started staying more often. Like, I think I went back home, like, 4 times from December all the way to, like, June. And then since my lease was ending and I wasn't working, he was like, well, why don't you come stay here? You don't have to pay anything. Like, you just, but I would need you to, you know, help around the house. You know, do house chores and stuff, but you don't have to pay for anything. And I was like, okay, well. So I applied for welfare because I really, like, I applied for welfare and work insurance or whatever. And then I finally got work insurance. So that's how I was paying my bills. And then I started living with him. But I remember before I even moved in with him, we had gone to a grocery store while I was there one weekend. And then I don't know what we were talking about. And then at some point, he was like, oh, I could just leave you here. And I'm like, what?
That's right.
And I'm like, okay, what? And then he's like, yeah, and I'm like, yeah, right. You're not just gonna leave me here. Like, what do you mean?
That
like,
is so random.
And mind you, I was in the car with him. I had no wallet, no nothing. Like, I was, I just had my coat on and that's it. And he, what? So he's like, yeah, I could leave you here. And then he's like, and I'm like, yeah, right, okay, whatever. You wouldn't do that. And he was like, oh, really? And I'm like, no, you wouldn't. So then he's like, get out. Like, telling me to get out the car because we were, like, in the groceries parking lot. And I'm like, what do you mean, get out? And he's like, get out. But the look on his face, like, I don't know, but I felt like if I didn't get out, he would actually get out of the car and, like,
take you out.
Drag you
yeah.
out, you
know?
Oh,
my
So
God.
I'm like, okay, well, okay.
Did anybody
so
see it
I
happening?
Get out the car, huh?
Did anybody see this happen? Like, did anybody hear it? Like, was he loud?
No, we were in the car. We were in the car in the parking lot. Like, nobody was paying attention.
Oh, my God.
So he says, get out. So I'm like, okay. So I get out the car, and then he drives off.
No,
he
actually...
else looking.
He left?
Like, yes, he left.
Oh.
So I was just like, okay, he's just messing with me. He's going to go around, like, the block and come back, right? Because to anybody else looking, it just looked like, okay, I got dropped off at the grocery store. You know?
Right.
People do that all the time.
What did you do? How did you get home? He came back?
I waited.
Oh, my God.
And he didn't come back.
What was the reason? Oh, my God.
And I was like, so embarrassed. I was like, I'm gonna pretend like, you know, I got dropped off and I went inside, okay? And I'm like, mind you, I have no wallet. I don't have a card with me. So I can't even buy anything in the
Do you have a phone?
And I can't get home because the city he lives in does not have a public transportation thing. They have like a taxi thing, but you have to be registered and do all that kinds of shit. So it's not like I couldn't get home, basically. I couldn't get back to his house, and it was far enough away, you know?
Did you have a phone?
Well, yeah, I had my phone, but who would I call? Him? But I didn't call him back, because I was like, fuck you. So he left. So I'm in the grocery store, and I'm going around pretending that I'm looking for stuff, whatever. I had a little cart with me, you know?
Oh, my God.
And then,
no.
I swear to you, okay, he was not. And I was like, oh, shit. So finally, I think I had bananas in my hand because I think I had like $2, right? And I was like, I might as well just buy bananas and act like, you know, I'm actually buying something in the grocery store. That was like, and after like 45 minutes in the grocery store, then he called me, and I didn't see him in the grocery store, but then he called me, and he was like, oh, I'm leaving, so are you coming or not?
Wow.
So apparently he had come back, and I was like, well, I'm in the line buying bananas. He was like, well, I'm leaving right now, and I was like, well, you can go. And I was like, fuck this shit. I'm not, I was like, nope, my pride.
What was your plan? So you were just like, okay, no, F you, I'm going to figure it out. Like, you just...
Yeah, I was like...
You was going to trade some bananas for some gas.
If I have to walk an hour to get back to his house,
oh, my God.
fuck it. Like, even if it's like minus 12 degrees outside, I don't care, right? So then he's like, okay. So he left. He left me there.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to call a taxi. So I called a taxi, and I was like, well, I have my wallet at the house, so I'm just going to be like, wait a second, I'm going to get my wallet, and I'm going to come pay you. So I took a taxi home, well, back to his place. I took a taxi, and then I told him, like, I was talking to the taxi man, and I was just like, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. So I get there. I get inside, and then I go back outside. I pay the taxi man. I get in the house. He's putting the groceries away, right?
Mm-hmm.
And tell me why he was pissed at me.
Are you dumb?
I'm like, wait a minute. So he was really mad that I didn't come back and I took a taxi instead. And the worst part is, like, I started to feel guilty. And in my head, I'm like, wait a second, you lied to me at the damn grocery store.
No, for real. And then what was the reason? Like, what was the reason? Like, what was the reason? For no reason, just...
This man man was a master manipulator. Okay, master. Like, he would do things, and then I would feel like it's my fault. Like, so that was like one of the first red flags.
Just
And
random psychoness.
Like, oh, you're a woman. He would say like slick little things that would be like, okay, so you're a sexist motherfucker, okay?
Oh, I was about to say, so what's the example of the sexism? Like, what does he? Because I don't want to be stereotypical and be like, oh, all doms, you know, are gonna have like, you know, sexist undertones.
But
like,
he was just like, like, let's say we would just be talking or whatever, and he's just like, you're a woman, you don't know anything.
ooh.
Or
wait a damn minute.
Yeah. But then he was kind of an ageist as well.
Really?
He had all the isms, girl.
Just
he
all
had
the isms.
everything, okay? He would say things like, oh, you're 23, you're 5 years old, you don't know anything. Like, he would invalidate anything I would say, even if I'm like, and I start doubting myself, but I'm like, bitch, you studied that in school. What do you mean? And I would still doubt myself. I'm like, did I read it right? Like,
my thing is,
am I really wrong? Like, I would doubt myself, okay? And he would just be like, oh, no, you're just a woman, okay? Just sit there and look pretty.
my thing is, though, is like, okay, but like, you're with me, though. So what does that make you? Like,
but that's the thing. I would be like, but why are you with me? He's like, oh, I'm a sucker for big boobs. And I'm like, okay,
so that means, so you're a weak man. Like, so you're weak. Basically, you're weak. Like,
exactly.
like, okay, sir.
And then he would get pissed off at, like, people, if you mention God in any way, okay? Like, he would be watching TV. Like, he was a huge, like, American football fan.
Yeah.
And then, like, if, like, they won or something, and then the football player is like, yeah, I thank God and my family, and I know, I know God had my back out there.
Yeah.
He would go into a fit, like, he would just be like, what the fuck does God have to do with anything? Like, and he would start insulting people that have faith, you know, whatever faith it was. He would just be rude. And the thing is, I'm sitting right next to him, and I believe in God, and he knows this. Ooh,
he just seems miserable. Like, he just wants to find something to get to feel something. Like, it just seems like he wants to feel something, and if it's anger, he's gonna feel it. Because it's like, you're just mad at the world. You mad that somebody else is thankful for their, like, what? Like, regardless, they could have said, thank you, Ronald McDonald. So what? Like, you mad?
I know. I'm just like, oh my gosh, why does that, like, enrage you so? Like, it just didn't make sense.
You are tuned into the Tribe T podcast with Naja the Voodoo Child.
So usually this is where the podcast preview would end, and I would ask you guys to go onto Spotify or whatever listening device you want to go and finish watching this. But today I'm just going to let the whole thing ride out. So just to get you guys caught up, because some of this stream did get cut off. Sorry in advance for the audio problems. I'm sure you guys can hear it. My apologies. We're new, okay? Experience and time will heal it. Just to catch you guys up, she was also telling how her ex had tendencies of basically saying very fresh comments to a younger family member of hers, weird arguments about pedo dolls. Like, I cannot make this up. What else? Oh, that he has racist prejudice undertones, and that he also has sexist undertones. So in this instance, she's going into more details on the racism aspect. Your ex said, I listened to gospel, like, old, in the States, we would just call it, like, I don't even know, like, slave music, for real. Yeah, just like straight slave music. Because he decided that he was going to make an event with slave music. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to have white people perform the slave music. And then they boycotted
it. It wasn't my ex. It was an artist here.
It was an artist. Okay, my bad. So it was the artist.
My ex got angry. and he started like cussing, and he was like, these people, what is wrong with them? It's not the artist's fault if they weren't good enough to sing the song, so he got some white people to sing it.
Wow.
I was like, ugh.
It's like, dude, that's not even the issue.
Yeah, I was like, what? What do you mean? He was like, well, if they weren't good enough for the concert, of course he got people that were good enough. And I was just like, what do you mean they weren't good enough? You're telling me with all these black people, like, there wasn't a choir he could take, there wasn't people singing, and plus, I'm just gonna say it, like, you know, white people singing and black people singing, they don't have the same vocal.
Like soul.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, no disrespect, but
no,
I'm
because
saying
you know look at what's her name, Pink. I mean, some people could hit those notes. I mean, it is what it is. Look at Ariana; they can hit those notes. But when it comes to certain things, you know, you gotta have soul.
Exactly. They don't have like the
depth.
Sometimes they don't have the swag, or they don't have the. There's a different type of thing, you know. And then I was just like, oh my gosh, and he started ranting about like, well, it's not his fault they can't sing, and these people don't know how to sing the songs, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, you couldn't find one person, not one,
right?
Not one.
Not one.
Ooh, girl.
Not one.
But yeah, he would say slick shit, okay, that was just like, or he would talk bad about about the Haitian culture, because like, at some point, like, I know, like, you know, Haitians, they hit their kids, okay, but then he would say some slick shit about like, y'all are not evolved, or
ooh,
y'all are, yeah, like, he would say, I'm telling you, I don't use the racist words lightly. Like, he's literally like
no, dead ass.
And you know, guess what? His daughter is Haitian and adopted, and I'm like, wow,
that's weird.
So is he saying because? So is he saying because the Haitian people he uses corporal punishment, they're not evolved, like, because that doesn't make
exactly. He's like, oh, y'all, yeah, he's like, they're not evolved, they're still
Because I'm about to say, I don't know who he met, but how I was raised, I was so freaking scared of my people, I just didn't try them. Like, I ain't never got hit by my people.
Exactly.
I'm scared. Like, I'm not going to say get out of place.
But he would just say that about black people. I'm like,
just in general,
you know,
wow.
Hit their kids too, right? You do know Europeans
hit
their kids too,
right?
And he's like, no, they don't. I'm like, yes, they do. You're the one who has who has all white friends. Like, I have different kind of friends, and I'm telling you, they get hit too. And he's like, no, it's not. Like, you're just lying. And oh my God, it was a mess, okay?
That's just so crazy to me how he is viewing, and I know it's completely different. But, like, he's in the BDSM community and stuff, and you over here calling people basically, like, lesser than human because of how they decide to punish their kids. I don't think people should be hitting on their kids, me personally. I don't think it does shit. But it happens. It happens. That's your kids. Just don't abuse your kids. But still, it's just interesting to see somebody who, like, hits people for fun and gets off to it. It's like, oh, you're lesser beings. You're not involved. Right. Like, what does that make you?
But
oh my God.
This man was a hot mess. Like, he would do shit like that. And then, okay, the worst part is when I finally actually officially moved in with him, he broken up with me like a month before, okay?
What?
Which, don't ask me why I still moved in with him. I don't know. Like, I swear this
He had that mind control.
I moved in with him, and I lived with him for like a year and a half, okay? I finally left,
and the whole time you were just like housewifing it, like just doing stuff around the house. Now that I think about it, I don't think he would have let you do anything else since he's sexist.
Well, Actually, he was not someone who would, like, stop me from working.
Mm-hmm.
If I had started working, I was just not in a mental state to do it.
Right.
But the whole time, he would belittle me. He would insult me. He would curse at me all the time. And I would tell him, do not curse at me. Don't do it. Do not curse at me. And he would still do it like it's nothing. But if I do something he doesn't like, okay, or if I talk, or if I laugh a certain way and he doesn't like it, he would go off, okay? He would go off. And the thing is, we weren't together for, like, the year and a half that I was living with him, but he would still take the liberty of touching me whenever he felt like it, like, grabbing my ass or smacking my ass, or he would do shit like lick me out of nowhere. Like, he would do shit that he knew, like,
will get under your skin,
things
like
that would excite me, and then it's like I don't want you to do it, but my body would react anyway, and I'm just like, ooh, I was so pissed, and I was like, don't touch me, and he doesn't care, okay? And he would choke me whenever he wanted.
Oh hell no! Oh
yeah, I was like, He would hit me, and I'm like, don't hit me, so I hit him back, right? And he would act like he's playing, right? He'll take a freaking casserole or something and hit me with it, like, really hard. And I'm like, don't hit me. So I hit him back. Not as hard, because the guy is, like, 6'1" and, like, 300 pounds or something.
Oh, my God.
Exactly. And I'm 5'5", okay? I'm just, like, I'm average. And then he would hit me, like, really hard. Ex-football player, so you know he's strong still. And then I'm like, don't hit me. And I hit him back, like, just playfully. And then he would get so mad, and he'd just, like, grab me by the neck and, like,
holy shit,
slam me against the counters. It was a mess. And, oh my God, it was such a mess. He just, like, he was very abusive, like, physically, emotionally.
No, seriously, like, and I even when you told me he left you, like, just at the supermarket with nothing, no car, no nothing, no car for 45 minutes, like, that, I already knew he had more in him. And the fact that you're over here calling black people barbaric and stuff for hitting on people, and you got the nerve to, like, to do what he did to you is freaking disgusting. Like, so, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, he was a mess, and I found out, like, before I left his house. I didn't tell him because I was afraid that if he knew, he was gonna, like,
try to stop you.
I don't know. I was no, not trying to stop me, because every time, like, I would finally get the courage to speak up, he'd be like, well, nobody's holding you here. Like, the door is right there.
Wow. It seems like he was using the fact that you were in a bad mental state, and the fact that he had, like, the house over you and shit. I feel like he was doing, like, an underhanded, like, I'm helping you, but I know I'm using you. Because
no, that was exactly that.
It's just horrible.
Correct. And even my psychologist, because I started seeing one.
Good, yeah.
I started seeing one when I moved in with him, actually. And then I was seeing her the whole time, and then sometimes I'd tell her, but then I was always making excuses for him. I'm like, yeah, but maybe I'm just too sensitive. Maybe I'm just taking it wrong, or blah, blah, blah. And she would be like, no, you know, that's actually a form of violence.
You're right.
And I don't know why, even though I felt like he was doing me wrong, I still doubted myself. So every time I was talking to my psychologist, I was still trying to make excuses and saying maybe I misunderstood, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he would just, like, burst into, like, a cursing fit at me. And sometimes he would just, like, choke me. And I found out that his daughter saw him choking me once.
Oh, my God.
And he never said anything. And I felt so bad. I felt like it was my fault. I felt so guilty. I was like, oh, my God, I traumatized her for life. And now that I look back, I'm like, girl, he choked you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, why are you feeling guilty?
He choked you, and it's all his fault. And unfortunately, he's going to get his karma, right? Because his daughter's traumatized, and she might end up with somebody just like him, and then he's gonna have to deal with that. So that's his fault.
Exactly. Like, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, you...
Yeah, he needed
I
to
was
go.
really under his control. Like, I was scared
Oh my
of him.
gosh.
Like, and the whole time, I was like, well, he's not violent. He never beat me or anything.
And then it happens.
then-
like, it's...
But I'm like, girl, he's choking you.
Right.
He's hitting you. He didn't punch you, but, like, it's still
still violent.
violence.
Right.
And, like, I don't know why my brain could not understand it. But when I finally left, I was like, fuck it. I went to a women's shelter for victims of domestic abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where I lived. And then I left him in, like, September 30th, 2019. And I was, like, in a women's shelter until, like, June of last year.
I was gonna say, like, how did that work with, like, the pandemic and everything? That is so crazy. I'm so glad you got out, though. That is scary.
Yeah,
that is so scary.
To see something, it was the last straw, and I was like, okay, nope, we gotta go. But then he would treat me, like, kind of like a slave. Like, I would clean, and then right after I'm done, he'd come and, like, dirty the dishes again.
Wow,
and then
what a freaking asshole.
He'd just leave them lying around all on the counter that I just cleaned and put everything away.
No, that's just that little control. That's little control tactics, just planting little seeds and just doing the most.
And he was very manipulative. Like, everything would be my fault. He got angry because it was my fault. Like, he couldn't find, like, a garlic peeler.
Who?
What?
Like, that was the last time. He couldn't find a garlic peeler, and then he decided... He was like, oh, where's the garlic peeler? I'm like, I don't know, because I don't use it. I'm Haitian. I use a knife, you know?
Right. We mince. What are you talking about?
And then I'm like, you people with all your little gadgets and shit, I just use a knife.
Right. Mince that up.
And I'm like, I don't know. The last time I saw it, it was right next to the oven or whatever, the stove. And he's like, I don't give a fuck where you saw it last. I'm asking you where it is now. Like, screaming at me out of nowhere.
He seems like I said earlier, he just, to me, it seems like he is empty on the inside and doesn't feel. And the only way he can feel is by having any type of emotion, which is anger and combativeness and shit. He always has to have an unpopular opinion. Even like what you said earlier with him defending freaking blow up child sex dolls. Like, that's the hill you want to die on. Go for it, buddy. But yeah, it just seems like he's just freaking miserable, and I'm glad that you got out of it. But we're in our last 10, but if you don't mind, could you give anybody that was in your position, like, any type of advice or, like, anything that maybe you wish you would have known, maybe like the transition to the women's shelter, or any tips that you think could help somebody?
As for the women's shelter, I say just go. And even if you don't want to leave all your things behind and stuff, just go. Because then these places, they have, when you're trying to get out of that and actually find your own place and stuff, they have, they get charity, so they can help you, you know, like refurnish your house and, you know, get the things you need. So, like, don't worry about the material things. And I would say always have, like, your bag with the important papers in it.
Right.
So that if something goes wrong, you're like, okay, this is it. He's about to blow up and probably kill you. Just take that bag, and if you have kids, make sure you have their paperwork in a bag and an overnight bag that you can just grab and leave. Just grab and leave, okay? And the thing is, usually, a lot of times, those kind of shelters, you don't know what the address is because, you know, it's for domestic violence. So they don't let people know like that because you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement and blah, blah, blah. So, but you can always contact the hotlines. So you can contact the hotlines. They're usually 24/7. And talk to someone. Just let it out. If you want to call them at 3 o'clock in the morning and just cry, just do it. Like, use the resources allotted to you.
Right.
And I would say, like, it's not in your head, okay? It's not in your head.
part.
Like, I swear, the whole time I thought it was in my head, that I was being extra sensitive. If you're feeling bad, it means something is wrong.
Right.
Don't try to rationalize it with your brain and stuff and be like, well, he hasn't done that and it's not that bad. Don't do it. If you're feeling bad, like, I didn't know exactly what my intuition was, but like every time he would be coming home, I noticed that my mood would just drop. Like, I'd be happy the whole day, cleaning, dancing.
Yeah.
And it's like 30 minutes to an hour before he was coming home, my mood would drop and I would feel so bad and I didn't understand why. Like,
it's like impending
trust,
doom. Like, you know,
yeah,
Captain Negative.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
trust whatever you're feeling. If you feel bad, then something is wrong.
Right.
Okay? Even if you can't explain it, something's wrong. So trust your feelings and, like, yeah, just leave. It's not in your head. What I used to do is, like, sometimes I'd, like, oh my God, I don't understand. Like, I'm just going crazy. What I used to do was write what happened.
Yes.
But, like, write what happened. Like, fresh when it's happened and you have a moment to yourself, write it down. Because then you're going to start rationalizing it and saying, no, he didn't say that, and blah, blah, blah. And what I learned is that these type of manipulations, they give you memory problems afterwards.
Yes, they do. Yep. Mhm.
And then you don't, because you don't trust what you hear and what you see anymore,
Right.
so they give you memory problems. And then you, like, either record them or write the shit down when it's fresh in your mind. And then afterwards, when you're rereading it, then you can see that, no, I wasn't crazy. He really said that, and he really did that, and I really felt this way, you know?
Right.
So
I definitely can co-sign for that. Like, what I do is I like to write, like, sequence of events when it comes to, like, people, or, like, maybe I had a situation where I just felt off about it, you know? Write down the sequence of events, because sometimes you're right. Like, even when you're out of the abusive relationship, sometimes little things will bring you back and, like, it'll mess with you. So you're right. Writing stuff down will keep you grounded. That's like and the documents in the bag. I didn't even think about that. Like, that is so true too. When you got to make that clean getaway.
You just want to leave. Like, if
Right.
you have a car, keep keys close to the door. Keep your bag close somewhere to the door where you can just grab it and go. Like, just leave.
Well, thank you so much, Pixie, for sharing your story. I'm just glad that you're out of that. That was a lot. Oh my gosh.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you for having me.
No
and
problem.
I hope it'll help someone out there. Like, sometimes we're just like, oh, it's just these little things. But when they add up, you're like, no.
Yeah, then
like,
it gets
this is
overwhelming,
bad. You
right?
need to leave.
You are tuned into the Tribe T podcast with Naja the Voodoo Child.